Welcome back to the Fun Going Broke channel, and in my first video I shared with everyone my recent purchase of my 2010 Subaru WRX STI Hatchback in World Rally Blue with 120,000 miles on it that had been repossessed, sold at auction, and I purchased it from a quote-unquote dealership in Spartanburg, South Carolina that was a glorified salvage yard where everybody in there spoke some sort of Eastern European language and seemed to be selling large screen TVs on the side. The dealer there told me that the car was all stock originally, except for a downpipe, and that it had new head gaskets, new timing belt, and water pump. When I got down there, it turns out actually it was all stock because the turbo, the intake, the downpipe had been removed before the auction. And I also asked him about compression because I was concerned about ring gland failure, which is common on these motors, to which he said that his mechanic that works on all his motors checked compression in all cylinders within range. But he did say since it smoked at startup, he thought it needed either valve stem seal replacements or another turbo. So I dropped the car off at Dale's place, Boxer 4 Racing in Marshall, North Carolina, to see what he thought about the car, hoping that, worst case scenario, I'm out $2 or $3 grand on a car that I paid $10,700 for. So Dale has got back with me, and it turns out that the reason it smokes at startup is because of the results of the compression and leak down test. So cylinders 1 and 3 had 140 psi pressure and 10% loss. Cylinder 2 had 90 psi and 75% loss. And cylinder 4 had 65 psi and 80% loss. So the dealer lied. So I asked Dale what's the best path forward, and he recommends engine replacement. So this is not at all what I had in mind. And we had some discussions, and he recommended a couple of different options, ones of which you guys probably know this car will be an IAG short block with a full rebuild, forged pistons, which he would estimate would be about $20,000. I'm going to have to pass on that. So I'm going to do some research. I looked up eBay, found a motor from a 2014, actually about an hour from my house. Had some discussions. He looks up the VIN number. The motor has about 90-some thousand miles on it, but it shows that the short block was replaced by Subaru at 54,000 miles. So going to pull the trigger on that one and see how it goes. Wally the co-pilot, enjoying the air conditioning. So that's about 4 hours of driving, 2.5 more hours of driving to go. I'll be back home, and then hopefully I'll hear back in a few days and have my car back in about 2 to 3 weeks. I now have 2 co-drivers instead of 1, and unfortunately this motor is bad. So Did a round trip with the video, about 7, almost 8 hours of driving to deliver the engine to Boxer 4 Racing to go from Louisville, North Carolina to Marshall, North Carolina, but I started in Boone, North Carolina, and now I'm back because once I got the motor to Boxer 4 Racing, he took a look at it, he did a leak down test, and cylinders 1 and 3 were okay, but 2 and 4 had about 5% loss. But 2 and 4 were at 25% loss, and he said he was not comfortable installing the motor. Also, once we got to looking at it, it was pretty rusty. It may be because it turns out it sat out for 6 months, but it's also a New Jersey engine. And the only pictures I had when I bought it were the motor from in the car, and I think it's a good company. They've been around for about 60 years, they said, but this particular motor doesn't seem great. So talked to Jamie, the salesman, really super nice guy. He talked to the owner and said to bring it on back. So I'm going to take it in, and my understanding is I'm going to get a full credit back for it.
There.